Okay guys, hi, if you're new, my name is Chelsea and I am halfway through my pregnancy, which is crazy, and a lot of you guys have asked a ton of questions pertaining to the birth and what has changed about my body. A lot of people get those questions regularly, but I guess I just didn't know that a lot of people are curious about the same things that I was curious before I got pregnant, and I'm excited to answer all those things. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the questions you guys asked on Instagram, and I can't wait to answer them. I've gotten some more personal questions on Patreon through like our messenger portion, which Patreon is our like exclusive group where we do Bible studies and we upload extra content and stuff. And we're excited to be bringing back our podcast, which will be ad-free now, which just gets me so excited. Okay, question from Sierra. She says, are you going to have a natural birth or get an epidural? Now this is something, of course, that I've thought about quite a lot. You start immediately thinking about these things ever since you get pregnant, because you kind of have to plan. Which I'm just gonna say right up front, for me, birth details and all of that stuff is pretty intimate, and it is something that I want to be able to share after the fact, but being like beforehand, it's just kind of so new to me. I'm a new mom, this is a new experience for me, and I don't personally want to have my comments filled with hatred or a distaste for my opinion, or really just people inserting their opinions about something that is really intimate and honestly a personal decision that I believe is very important. So I am probably not going to be sharing that stuff until after the fact, which you won't have to wait very long because I'm due in July and that'll come way faster than you know it. But if all goes to plan and it's a great experience, or at least something that I do want to talk about afterwards, I will talk a lot about that, because I believe it's an area where people need to be a little bit more honest. But currently right now it kind of is a little freaky to discuss something like that before it's happened. I'm just a huge advocate for that, like not discussing something too early, if that makes sense. So hopefully you can respect that. Next question, bump update please. So I've been doing these on my Instagram and you can see the photos here, and each week it's getting bigger and bigger and I feel heavier and more cramps are happening. So those pictures, you can always stay tuned to those because I have fun doing those every week. I usually take the photo on a Saturday because my turnover week day is Sunday. But for the sake of it, let's just show you. So this is my sweater that I'm wearing. This is my dress, and that's the bump. It's like very out there now. So I got a question about the nursery tour. This is one thing that I don't really think I'm typical in, at least my thoughts on it currently. I have a lot of friends that are moms and they have different rooms for their kids, which I think is amazing. But personally, I am not going to be doing a nursery. I know that's super weird to some, but I just find that us having a guest bedroom in our house is very vital for, family visiting, friends visiting, and we don't want to give up our office, and there's just no place for that to go. We work from home, so that's like really important for us to have. And I just think that I'm going to be a mom that's going to want my kid to be next to me through the night instead of having to go to a separate room and checking a camera and all of that sort of stuff. I know people are probably going to correct me and be like, no, you want them in a separate room. But to me, baby has been used to a lot of loud noise in the womb. And if it can't sleep with me tossing and turning next to it, then I would be kind of concerned, because it constantly hears my dog barking. It's always hearing me breathing and my food digesting and all this stuff. So that's another subject. Like, a lot of people are recommending me sound machines and all of that stuff, but I think that babies kind of are used to more of a louder environment. But anyways, I just think that a nursery is something that I will definitely have in the future, like a bedroom for our kid. I think that's really important. But at least for the first year, like while we're still in this house that we're renting, I just don't find it necessary to make a separate bedroom for our kid. So that's my thoughts there. Okay, this question says, what is it like literally growing a person in your body? Favorite part? That's such a great question because I never knew what to expect when it came to this. I always just thought, wow, that's so cool. Your belly gets bigger when you have a baby and it's just, you know, you're carrying a child. But I didn't know just how much our bodies change to accommodate another human inside of it, which is such a mind-blowing part of it all. I've noticed that my you know, my hips are widening, and even my back, like my lower back bones are like shaped differently now, and none of these things are necessarily bad. It just shows how cool our bodies are built as women to be able to carry a child, and so that's one thing I've noticed that I think is super neat. And one thing I didn't expect was just how cool it would be to feel baby kicks, to feel like, it was always described to me as butterfly flutters, but to me it's more of like muscle spasms. That's what I like to describe it as. I think a lot of people say butterfly kicks, but I just don't think it feels like something's just like moving and grooving around there. It feels like somebody's, like a baby is literally just like kicking its foot like against you, and it feels like a muscle spasm, kind of. It's not a weird thing, it doesn't hurt, no, none of that, but it is really freaky and awesome at the same time. Weirdest craving. So I don't really have a ton of cravings, which I always thought I would be that person with really interesting cravings. I just have a more intensified hunger for the things that I've already enjoyed as Chelsea. So Chelsea likes meat. She also likes ice cream. She likes a variety of fruits and vegetables, and sometimes those things are just more intensified on certain weeks or certain days. I'm not trucking down the grocery aisle asking everybody for pickles. That's not something I eat, but I do really love certain desserts, honestly. Those and meat. Desserts and meat. That's just me. When is your due date? So as of now, before our ultrasound or halfway ultrasound, that may change. So right now it's July 18th. Depending on the baby's growth, if it's behind or ahead, they may change the date, which is something I never even thought that was possible. I thought once you get the date, it's signed, sealed, delivered, and that's when you get and expect. But I've had a friend that went ahead like a couple weeks because the baby was growing so fast, and now she's closer to my due date actually, and she was previously like 5 or 6 weeks behind. It's wild. Our bodies, sometimes they grow the baby faster, and sometimes the baby comes early, sometimes it comes a little late. It's not always 40 weeks dead on, and that's crazy to me. But yeah, that's my due date so far. How has Nick been treating you lately? Does he treat you any different? That's a really good question. So Nick always cooks for us, and that's something that's hard to admit because I feel like as a woman, the role that's placed on us is to be more of the homemakers in like every aspect, which I love. I love, you know, being able to do the laundry and the dishes, but we definitely, you know, we trade off on a lot of things, which I really appreciate. But Nick is just way better at cooking, and I've been noticing that he's been going out of his way to make even better meals. And on top of the meal thing, he's just really like gentle with me, much more gentle than usual, which is like kind of a needed thing because at night, you know, I'm achy and not feeling super good, and so I'll ask him to give me a massage or for us to just pray about a certain thing or whatever, and he's just very receptive to that. So Nick's always been that way, like gentle towards me, and definitely shows me a side that you guys will never be able to see because that's just our relationship and it's very intimate in that way. But as far as the pregnancy goes, just like really bomb meals, super gentle, and you know, he does ask me how I'm feeling a lot more, and every time he sees the bump getting bigger, he's like, oh, my little mama. He says that, so it's cute. He used to kind of say stuff like that before I got pregnant. He said, oh, when you get pregnant, you're gonna be such a cute little mama. Along with the birth plan question, people asking that sort of stuff, a lot of questions have to do with, are you scared of postpartum? Are you scared of the birth process? Those sorts of questions. And I think that's a really good thing to address. So usually I would say yes. And I think a lot of women who are new to this would say yes. But I will say, when I decided our birth plan and the way that I want to go about this, I felt so much peace about the way that I'm going about it, and just the fact that my body is capable of this, and me worrying about this is not going to help the baby. It's not going to help my mental clarity. To me, worrying and stressing about something is just, I always try to stay away from any sort of feeling in that direction, because I know that I have tendency to give into that and just kind of be overtaken by it. And I really believe in speaking truth over myself and just not believing those lies. So if you haven't seen my video about my body changing and all of that, you can kind of see how I've been wrestling through those thoughts, and I feel like I've overcome a lot of those thoughts. But when it comes to birth, like, I just think that I'm made for this. Like, my body is made for this, and I have total complete peace over it. And I know it's going to be hard. I know it's not going to be something that is the most enjoyable thing in the world, or something that I can really even expect to know how I'm going to feel or anything like that. But that's why I have the right people in place. I have a plan. I have security in knowing that I'm doing everything I can to prepare myself. And also, women have been doing this for centuries, and they've been doing it in random places all around the world, and not until the past couple decades, maybe the last century, have we gotten like super branded about pregnancy, if that makes sense. It's just been, you know, you have babies, like, you bring life into the world, and our bodies are capable of that, and there are things that happen. But I think if you go into it with that mindset of like, oh my gosh, like, what's gonna happen to me, then you're just gonna be worried the whole time, and I don't want to have that mindset. So I've just been very much at peace through the whole process. This is a great question. It says, this sounds so weird, but I've always wondered if you can normally poop while pregnant. I wanted to answer this question because that's such a practical, like, curious thought to have that people would just type into Google. And currently now, at where I sit, pooping is normal. So regular flow, regular process. There are some women that experience constipation, and that's just because, you know, your organs and everything are moving. There's a lot more pressure. There's not as much regular system flow. Your body's getting used to a lot of changes. So there are some people who experience that, and I may experience that in a few weeks as I continue to get bigger. There's more pressure. As you get closer to your due date, it's probably more of a struggle to do something like that. I'm going to answer one last one because I think this is an important one to answer. So this question says, do you worry about miscarriage a lot in the first trimester? Tips on how not to. This is definitely a thought that goes through any woman's mind, I think, in the first trimester, because there is a lot more risk to that. But I remember having the thought, oh my gosh, you know, I should look up the statistics on, you know, what are the statistics of women who have miscarriages versus those who carry the baby through the first trimester. And I felt like an unsettled feeling about doing that. I felt like I shouldn't do that because I don't want to instill any fear in my head or any, I didn't want to scare myself. And I believe that, you know, God is sovereign through everything, including miscarriage and all those babies that don't get to see Earth. I believe that there's a special place for them in heaven, and that they're thriving and they have beautiful souls. I believe a lot about that, but I think that if you are personally somebody who is struggling with that thought of, you know, is this potentially going to happen to me, I would just try to not do so much research on the internet and allow yourself to just embrace what your body is going through and trust God that through the process of whether you have had loss in the past or you may be scared that that might happen for you, that He has a plan for you through either of those situations. And yeah, just be careful what you're intaking. That's one thing that I felt an urgency to do, is to not give in to those fear-mongering thoughts that a lot of people will put out there, or medical doctors or people on blogs will say online. I just have to be careful about that. So that's what I would say about that topic. Okay, so those are all the questions, and I feel like I could have answered so many more, and there will probably be another Q&A, especially after birth, once I have experienced our birth plan and all that sort of stuff. So with all that being said, just look forward to more videos in that direction. And I'm just grateful for you guys. Thank you for sticking around here, watching this video, and going through all these random questions that you guys asked. And I'm glad you guys asked them. I will see you guys in the next video, probably with Nick.